Sorry, America, no more mullet. Billy Ray Cyrus, he may, unless you're a country music fan, it may have fallen off your radar. Country music fan, or if you have kids, you know him as Robbie Ray. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good to have you here.
It's an honor to be here. I love your show.
Thank you very much. I have kids. Of course, Disney plays a big part of their life, and your daughter is the star. You're the co-star in it. But let's start back with where you came from, because for a lot of people, you just kind of disappeared. You had Achy Breaky Heart, and then you just kind of disappeared, and now you're back in the limelight. I believe isn't this the most successful Disney program ever, or it's one of their biggest success stories now, I know.
It's doing really good.
Yeah. So you started, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be Johnny Bench, the catcher for the Cincinnati Reds.
And you grew up in Kentucky? Where in Kentucky?
I grew up in Flatwoods, Kentucky.
What was your family life like?
Well, my earliest memories are Saturday nights at my Papaw Casto house. Papaw means grandfather. And so I'd be at my Papaw Casto's house, and my mom would play the piano, and my Papaw Casto would play the fiddle, and my uncle and dad would play the guitars, and we'd sing bluegrass like "Won't You Come Home, Bill Bailey," or "Roll in My Sweet Baby's Arms," and then we'd go home for the night and get a little bit of sleep, and then.
So wait. Tell me kind of the where in Kentucky is this? I mean, it sounds like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, Flatwoods, Kentucky is right on the Ohio River. And the Ohio River, you cross one direction and you're in Ironton, Ohio, and you go just a little bit up from that and you're in West Virginia. It's called the Tri-Cities.
Okay.
And it's, southern Appalachia.
Poor?
There was quite,
were you
I
poor?
didn't think about it at the time, but yeah, we would have
Isn't
been defined as extremely poor.
It's weird how when we grew up, because we're about the same age, we grew up. We were working class people. I mean, my folks never had any money. I mean, it wasn't Appalachia, but we never thought of ourselves as poor.
When I got a little bit older, I realized just exactly how financially poor we were. There was another place, what we called the rich people, they lived at a place called Bellefonte. And, sometimes if the wind blew just right, you could hear all those kids swimming at the Bellefonte Country Club. And all I knew is I'd never been there, and, I never got to go swimming in a pool. Our grand finale in the summer was if my mom would let me and my brother squirt each other down with the water hose, So,
right. Okay, so you wanted to be Johnny Bench.
I wanted to be Johnny Bench.
Didn't really work out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was going to say to you, my other papaw, he was a Pentecostal preacher. And so on Saturday nights we'd play bluegrass music, and Sunday mornings we'd be in his church where he would preach. And he would preach, and my dad had a gospel quartet called the Crownsman Quartet, and they were very successful in the Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia realm there, where the kind of like the same circuit where my papaw would go to these revivals and stuff, and my dad would go do these singings and up these hollers and stuff, and I'd go with him, and we'd sing "Swing Down, Sweet Chariot" and "Old Rugged Cross" and "I'll Fly Away," and it was feel-good music, both the bluegrass and the gospel. Southern gospel, it was all feel-good music, and to this very day, that's what I like to do, is make music that moves people.
Do you ever go back? Have you been back?
You know what? I'm going back next week. We're doing a great big in-store at my hometown, and well, it's really Ashland, Kentucky, is the biggest city close to Flatwoods, and it's where I filmed the video of "Achy Breaky Heart," and my roots run very deep in that area there, and we're going back to a Walmart and doing an in-store.
What is it like? And we'll get into this later, because you just moved out to Los Angeles, which is a million miles away from where you grew up.
It is.
What is it like to go back to Kentucky?
Well, it's sad for me now. My dad passed away a little over a year ago, and quite frankly, it's just not the same, to go back there and then not look up and see my dad, it's going to be really tough on me. I've been back one time since, and it was just sad. But we're going to go have a good time, and I know that's, my dad, one of the things that my dad was most proud of was this foundation that we started called the Billy Ray Cyrus Charities Foundation. And my dad, he always, his music to my dad was helping working people. My dad loved to, he ended up becoming very involved with the AFL-CIO and helping steel workers and people that, you know, the big companies might be trying to rip them off on some of their benefits. And my dad ended up leaving his job at the steel mill and putting himself back in school and working his way through college. And he became a state representative for the 98th District of the state of Kentucky and retired from that after 20 years. He served as a legislator for 20 years. And again, he was passionate about helping people. I mean, it's what he loved to do, was help people. But he would take these letters.
Wait, how old was he when he went to college?
He was probably about 30. I'm just guessing. But
I got to tell you, I went back to college when I was 30, and it is the weirdest experience. I think it takes real guts, because you're sitting next to 18-year-olds who know more than you do.
A courageous move, and I admire my dad a great deal for making that move at that stage of his life. But you know, he for this foundation, he would read stories. We'd get letters from all over the world, and he really got off on trying to find the underdog. Yeah,
you know,
it was very dogs out there that might be getting looked over, maybe a boys' home somewhere up in Kentucky somewhere, something that you wouldn't necessarily hear about in the news or whatever. And he'd read these stories, and we'd just try to pitch in and just, you know, just make the world a little better place. You know, my dad loved that stuff, and you know, so to this day, you know, I looking back and thinking, man, if he was here right now, he would be loving this so much to see his little granddaughter out there being Hannah Montana and all this that's going on here.
Well, we'll talk about religion here in a second, but you know that he is
absolutely
seeing it all.
Sure.
So you didn't make it into baseball. You didn't really pursue that. You instead picked up a guitar, and about 20 years old, you started a band and made a pact with your brother, a 10-month pact. What was it?
Well, you know what happened with me? All those nights and all those times that my family had them guitars out playing them and all this stuff, and I'd look over and see my dad's big old guitar, and I'd grab it and I'd go like this and try to sound like everybody else, but I couldn't play, and that's why I thought I must be intended to be Johnny Bench, because I sure couldn't play the guitar. And when I was 18 or 19 years old, I was going to school on a baseball scholarship and still thinking I was going to be Johnny Bench. I started hearing this voice saying, buy a guitar and start a band, buy a guitar. I'm in concert through a coincidence of fate and
bad luck
and all this different stuff. I'm looking around, and I go to this concert, and I kept hearing this voice saying, this is your purpose in life. Your purpose in life is to make music. You need to buy a guitar and start a band. I'm going, why? And when I went to this concert, I heard Neil Diamond saying, you know what, it doesn't matter if you're white or black or rich or poor or a man or a woman, if you believe in your dreams and start a band. And long story short, I ended up going to this Neil Diamond and have faith. You know, you can do anything in this world that you believe you can do. And right then, it was like I had hands on me saying, that's your purpose. I bought a guitar the next day, and that voice said, buy a left-handed guitar. I didn't know there was a difference. I'd been left-handed and left-footed my whole life, but I didn't know there was a difference for a right-handed, left-handed guitar player. I went the next day, bought a left-handed guitar, and started a band that night, and found out, hey, I can play. I just had the guitar upside down.
And so, wait a minute. So you made a 10-month pact on that day?
Yes.
A 10-month pact
That's
that you would give this 10 months, you and your brother.
That's right.
Okay. And
you've done some research.
Well, a little bit.
Quite frankly, that's exactly what it was. I never tell people that because it's embarrassing. But,
why is that embarrassing?
Oh, it's just, you know, I failed many, many, many more times on this journey to get to this very chair right here than I ever succeeded.
Well, are you kidding me? I mean, that's what life is, man. It's mainly failure. But you held out. It was 10 months, and then what was it? A week or a month before that was up? The pact was, in 10 months, if we don't have a job, we'll give it up.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And what happened?
And I ended up landing a job as a house band at this little club in Ironton, Ohio called Changes, and all of a sudden I was making my living 5 nights a week, 4 sets a night, and playing in front of people and entertaining and singing and writing my songs, and it was like, it was just what was supposed to happen.
And a lot of people would give up after that place burned down, but then you decided to go to Los Angeles.
That's right. Yeah. What happened when that place burnt down, that club Changes, 4 years later it burned down, and at that time I'd been knocking on Nashville's door. I'd drive down to Nashville just about every week and try and get a record deal and play my latest new song I wrote and all this different stuff. And when that club burned down in 1984, everything was destroyed.